Hey guys, welcome back. Today I want to talk about how much my son helped me after the stroke, how he taught me how to walk and he taught me how to use my left arm. He was 3 months old when I had the major stroke, so my wife would bring him into rehab every day in the pram and we'd do exercises and I began walking without a walking frame but with a pram, which was fantastic. So when I was discharged or went home, when I discharged myself home, basically, because I said as soon as I can walk, I'm leaving, which I did within a day or two. I just had to get out of there. I thought if I returned home, all my problems would be gone. Obviously not the case. When you get home, you'll get blown away. Returning home from rehab is very difficult. So they set me up in outpatient rehab about 2 kilometres from my house. And me and my son were walking every day, all day, as much as I possibly could. So I'd push him in the pram. So by this stage, he's about 1. So he was taking steps. My goal was to learn to walk before he did. And I beat him by about 2 weeks. This is my son Jordan, my eldest son. He's so bright. He's just crazy smart. The questions he asks me, he must drive his teachers absolutely nuts. But that's kind of me. I'm really headstrong. If I get an idea in my head, I really pursue it. Like this YouTube channel, I really pursue it as much and as best as I can. So as I said, I used my 6-month-old, and then he turned to 12 months. He's now 7. And as I said, he's probably the smartest person I know. It is crazy how smart this kid is. It's amazing. So I used him constantly for rehab, and I guess you could say he taught me how to walk. He taught me how to use my left hand. When I was playing on the floor with him, I'd lie on my right side and I'd just use my left hand no matter how much agony I was in. I'd use my left hand to pass him a ball or a toy, and we'd do that all day, every day. And that's why my left hand is so good. So that was my, I guess, forced rehab, post-intensive rehab, returning home. I'd just walk all day. We'd walk so far, we'd walk like 5 kilometers, have a lay down in the sun, have a nap together. And I'd always take food and water, a bottle of formula for him, and we'd have a nap somewhere, and then we'd come home, have a nap, we'd go for another walk. So I guess this video is a meditation on using what you've got to do, I guess, constraint-induced therapy. Use your stroke-affected hand as much as you possibly can. It doesn't want to get better. Your brain doesn't want to get better. You have to force it. You have to absolutely push it and push it and push it. You have to be stronger than a coffin nail. I went to my first outpatient rehab, and I took Junga. I walked there, and because I was only 3 months, I was 3 or 4 months post-stroke, so I'd had a carotid dissection, and I was at a risk of having another one, because once you've had one, there's a high risk of having another one within 6 months. So your blood pressure has to be monitored constantly. So the rehab was only 2 kilometers away. So I walked there with the pram, with Junga, all uphill. I got there and I sat down. I was absolutely stuffed because I just walked so far. And she said, this is your first physio session with your outpatient rehab, and today we're going to do some slow walking in the frame. And I said, I just walked 2 kilometers uphill to get here. And she completely freaked out, took my blood pressure, and she called me a taxi to go home. And from then on, she sent a car to go and pick me up and take me home, because she said I shouldn't be walking that far after a stroke, and I shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff after a carotid dissection. When they set me up with outpatient rehab, which I said was about 2 kilometers from my house, they set me up the first appointment, I think 3 days after. My wife had to return to work to keep the lights on. She was working her absolute heart out to to pay for everything because we were down to one income. It was hard. It was really hard at the time. So I spent some really intensive time with Jordan. I call him Junga. In Australia, you don't often get called by your birth name. You get called by something else, whether you like it or not. Jordan's nickname is Junga, so he's Junga Snack or Junga or Senor or whichever name I can come up with on the spot, usually Junga. So Junga and I walked and walked and walked every day, and it really helped because I was in between needing a walking frame and a walking stick or a walking aid, but I had a pram set to the right height, was absolutely perfect. That was my walking frame. So we did this for about 3 years. We went to 7-Eleven every day. We got a muffin and a coffee. I'll show a little clip of him running in. As soon as he could walk, he'd run into 7-Eleven straight up to the muffins and pick a muffin. Because when I returned home from rehab, he was probably 6 months old or 7 months old, just rolling around on the floor. I would use my left hand, so my stroke affected hand, to pass him toys 1,000 times a day. Because that's what my occupational therapist told me to do. She said the more you use it, the better it'll get. So I exclusively used my left hand to play with him all day, every day. And I practiced talking to him. As soon as he could talk, we'd just chat along all day. So yeah, we spent some really intensive time together. It was fantastic. So really use what you've got at hand to get better. If you're going to open a door, you're probably going to open a few doors after your stroke. Use your left hand or your right hand, your affected hand. I use my left hand for everything. If a private investigator followed me around for a month, the first thing he'd notice was that I was left-handed. That's how much I use my left hand. So yeah, my son helped me a lot. Here's a couple of clips of us. There's a photo of us working on my Datsun. If a picture says 1,000 words, then this one's it. Mum snapped it. She saw us working together, so she snapped a picture of us from upstairs. We were installing the new indicators on the car to get it roadworthy. He absolutely loved helping me with that car. We sanded the whole car back with sandpaper ourselves and repainted it. It was a really good project for both of us to have. So just wrapping up, guys, just use what you've got to get better. Use your kids. If you've got young kids to get better, use them as much as possible. They're fantastic. How many times do you think you have to pass a 6-month-old a toy when you're rolling around on the floor? Do you think 500 times? Well, that's how many times I use my left hand per day. So I got to the 20,000 repetitions within 2 years. Within 2 years, I had a very functional post-stroke left arm and left hand. Because I pushed it and pushed it and pushed it with Junga. Walked constantly and used my left hand to pass him toys all day, all night. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Let me know what you think about the videos. I started with, as I said, 2 subscribers, which I knew personally from a local Facebook community group that I was kind of mentoring them, and I thought I'd just send them videos. So I ended up starting with this channel, and it's actually gone a bit bananas. I'm really surprised because it's such a niche stroke. It's not a cool subject to talk about. It's not a buzzword. It's not anything that anyone wants to read about. But 1 in 6 people have a stroke, so I'd love 1 in 6 people to subscribe to my channel. Everybody that knows everybody knows someone who's been affected by stroke. So let's spread the good word, guys. Thanks heaps for listening, and let me know what you think. So my other 2 kids are brilliant in different ways. Holly's 5, and she's just the most stunning thing I've ever seen. Her hair is just beautiful. I'll show you a picture of her. Bo's 2, he's got a little attitude on him, and I absolutely love him to guts. So thanks for listening, guys. Let me know what you think. So really use what you've got, guys. I used my son, and it was really, really helpful for the constraint-induced therapy that I did myself. in the olden days, they'd actually tie your good hand, or they'd cuff it, or they'd duct tape an oven mitt so you can't use it, so you have to use your left hand. But I did that by using this. That's where the battle is. The battle's up here. It's not out there. So use what you can to get better. I live in a very hilly area, and I walk about 2 or 3 times a day with my dog, purposely uphill, downhill, because I've still got foot drop after 7 years post-stroke. So my left foot still drops, and if I'm tired or fatigued, I'll trip over. So that still hasn't gone away. I'm not sure how to fix foot drop. I'm not sure if they can. Let me know if they can actually. One last thing I thought I'd show you, which is relevant to the video, is there's an abandoned pub where I live in. There's an old saloon that's been abandoned for about 20 or 30 years, and I absolutely love the place. And Drunga and I used to walk there, so that was uphill to get there, downhill to get home. That was probably about 2.5, 3 kilometres from our house. We'd walk there every day. I'd get a coffee from McDonald's and he'd get a baby chino. We'd share a muffin. So here's a picture of him in front of the pub. You can just make him out on the doorstep. There he is, with his little baby chino and my coffee. Thanks guys, see ya.